Be rolling. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me on Tuesday Notary Titans. Today, my normal partner, Jen Neitzel, won't be with us. Some of you just heard that because of that bad storm in the Dallas area, she was affected and she's on a generator and it's a mess. So I will be doing that, but I will have some help today with Jennifer Cooper, and she's going to monitor the chat. She's also going to encourage you when you ask a question that might be good for everybody, that you raise your hand so we can address it and everybody can learn from it. Sometimes people have a question, I answer it, and then there's a piggyback question to it. And that would be a great extension if you'd be willing to raise your hand. Now, how do you do that? Guys, there are one or two ways. Mine actually has a raised hand at the bottom when you hover, but if it's not there, it might be the three dots where it says more. That might be another place that you find it. If it's not there, I think there's reactions. So like three different places, depending on your version of Zoom, where you might find that. So if you have questions in mind, you don't have to wait. While I'm talking, you can get your hand. I froze a couple times. I hope you're hearing me okay. Jen, is my voice okay?
You're fine, Laura.
Okay, great. So you can raise your hand if you already know you've got something you want to ask, even though we're going to go through about 5 or 10 minutes of some announcements and some stuff I want to actually bring to the table for you. So let's, first of all, tell you who I am. I'm Laura Biewer, and I'm the founder of Coach Me Laura. And so I have a mission, and that is to develop confident and competent notaries. That's one of the best ways to have business, because when you do the job right, people will want to use you again and again. Those repeat business is huge in terms of having sustainability, so that you're not every day chasing down, I got to find another client. You've got some clients that are just in your hopper as they need something else new. Also, I'm a co-founder of Notary Business Builder. You might hear it called NBB. And Notary Business Builder has a mission, which is to help you make more money, get more clients. And we do that in many ways, including content and how to build a website, and your SEO with Google profile, with building authentic relationships, with mindset, all of these different things. And of course, Bill brings in all kinds of interesting things into the mix as opportunities for you to expand and diversify your business. Mentioning Notary Business Builder, I'll start with them. I have an announcement. Many of you know we were just in Orlando. We just did a conference, and we did say that there was some free training that we released, and it was cannabis-friendly notaries. And so the link is active. It's still free. It is open to anybody. You don't have to be NBB to check it out. This is not about us encouraging you to use cannabis at all. All we are doing is showing you an opportunity to notarize for companies and professionals who have documents that may need notarization, as well as the end consumer who doesn't have cannabis documents, but have everyday documents like the rest of us. They might have powers of attorney or other documents, but may be nervous about having somebody come to their home and discovering that they're a consumer. And so that's really what it was about. It was about holding up the office of the notary and remembering that our job is to take care of notarizing documents, not to be judgmental about whatever their choices are in life. It's also important for us to look at all opportunities, because if you want to know how I get to 6 figures and how I have sustained for over 20 years, is because I look to see where somebody isn't doing something and I go there. Because you need to always be looking at what's the next trend, what's the new deal. Because when everybody's already doing it, then you're just in the, as Bill would say, sea of sameness. So you're always wanting to look at what can I do to differentiate myself? Who are customers that aren't being served that I could serve? So if you go to notarycoach.com and check out that free, then go ahead. If this is not something you want to even know about, then just ignore our emails. It's fine. But we wanted to provide it free for everybody to have access to it. All right, some announcements about events coming up. we always suggest that you consider notary events throughout the year. Now, notary events may or may not at all be the same as a client getting events. These are two different kinds of things. But the notary events, which is opening yourself up to collaboration with other notaries, educating yourself further, especially if you did not attend a major conference or couldn't afford to attend a major conference. These are some benefits of attending a conference where you can start building relationships with other notaries who think like-mindedly. So the first thing we have on the list is Montana. The Secretary of State's office for Montana every other year hosts a conference. And it started out to just be Montana, pretty specific. And it's changed over time. And now it's not just Montana. They have a track for Montana. And then they have all kinds of other fabulous workshops that aren't dependent on what state you're in. So if Montana is a location that isn't too far for you to get to, and you would love to hear about some new things, that's a good idea. And we've put the information in the chat for you. Bill is speaking. I am speaking. Matt is speaking. Jen Neitzel is speaking. Who else is speaking? There are a whole bunch of other speakers as well. We're not the only people, right? So there's going to, and you can go to the website and see who's speaking. She has the whole list. It's not like 20 people who are presenting there. So that might be of interest to you. Then the next one I have is going to be in October, which is the Arizona Scottsdale one, and that is Notary Academy. Notary Academy is also an education community, and they are going to have a weekend retreat, actually not a conference, but a weekend retreat where there's going to be learning, and they have quite a few people presenting there. I will be presenting some newer material that I've rewritten recently in the area of deliberate practice is what I'll be talking about. And then we have the Philly Social. Now that's Judy Lawrence, and that's happening in the middle of October, I think third week of October. And some of your favorites will be there, and then there'll be some new people there as well. And that's a 2-day event. And I don't know if you know this, but we're at the Notary Hotel. Is that not fabulous? So everything's about notary there. Excited about that. And then finally, there is a notary cruise, and that notary cruise is a very inexpensive one. And Jen Neitzel is attending that one and speaking. So we've put the information if you're interested. Daniel Lewis is the one who's in charge of that. All right, so those are the upcoming events that we know about right now. I don't see hands up yet, so I'm going to do one more thing, and that is I want to talk about something that every notary should be aware of, should be talking about it already, should be thinking about how does that happen, and that's Graceland, right? I think most of you listen to the news or watch the news or heard about Elvis's property and how there was a notarized deed of trust and promissory note, neither were recorded, and that the granddaughter, who's now the owner of it, the note said that Lisa Marie had taken out a $3.8 million loan against it and then didn't pay it back. And so they were putting a claim against it, which means it was going to auction. And the day before the auction, then the granddaughter was able to obtain a sworn affidavit from the notary whose commission's stamp and signature were on those documents to say that she doesn't know how they got her information. She never met Lisa Marie Presley. She's never notarized for that person. She did not have anything to do with this company. And so that was turned in, and she was able then to get an injunction, which means they temporarily put the auction on hold for that property until the lawsuit works its way out. Within hours of that happening, this company that I guess nobody's really even heard of withdrew their claim with prejudice. That's really important, because with prejudice means they can never come back and do it again. They can never come back and say, well, we weren't ready, but we are now. That's it. It's done. They cannot do, and they are in the wind. Nobody can find them. Nobody answers the phone. It's horrible. So this kind of stuff happens, guys, every single day. Deed fraud is incredibly large, and it all involves a notary. A lot of times, one of us that didn't even know that our name and stamp was used. It could be we were used, but we didn't know that it was fraudulent situation. And of course, we do have some bad notaries out there that, you know, are not upholding their office. But I just want this became national attention because of the property involved. Otherwise, she would have just been one more of the many that happen. And this is just another opportunity for us to remember how important our job is, and that when we fill out a certificate, it changes lives, property changes hands. It is not just an I saw them sign it. They rely on that. And so if you didn't know about it, there are articles already, and they put one out, but they put it out before this other information came out. And I'm sure you can Google it and you'll find all the juicy details. I just, as a notary, yeah, the notary saved the day. Her sworn affidavit was accepted by the court and said, you know, stop the presses. So I thought that was really an important thing for us to know about, and realize that had she not found the notary had not been willing to do that in time. If those things didn't happen, that property would have gone to auction, and that company would have gotten money illegally. So yay for the notary. They didn't release the notary's name that I'm aware of. Okay, now I want to talk to you about something closer to home. Same idea. I got a call from just a local caller who called me as a notary to ask me how to know if the notarization on this trust document was valid. Because the person who gave her that document said the lady died, she's now in charge, and the rent money that she's been paying to the lady who died now goes to her, not the husband. And here's the proof. So I'm just amazed that this person, this caller, wanted to find a way to find out, was it valid before just changing who she wrote the check to. And so I said, well, can you send me a picture of it? I said, I don't need the document, just show me the certificate and the stamp. And oh my God, the stamp. All right, so this is California, Stanislaus, my own county. The stamp did not have the notary name, did not have a notary commission on it. It had Notary Public, California. It had a notary expiration date. It had a border, and it had some kind of made up numbers on the side. And she sent it to me while we were on the phone. And I said, this is not a valid stamp. This is not going to be valid in any way, shape, or form. I think somebody's trying to pull one over on you. I would not change who you're sending it to, but I'm not an attorney, so I would get some legal assistance on this. And I guess the husband is in Mexico right now, and that's why he's not. I guess he's having issues with trying to figure what's going on. And she's taking over the property. This person who now says she's a trustee is using these documents with this stamp to take over everything. So, oh my God, is all I can say. What people think they can do, at least this one is stupid and didn't know how to create a valid notary stamp, because there are certain elements that are required, and that's how we can tell. So yeah, close to home. As a matter of fact, right here in Modesto. So yeah, they're not counting on notaries to pay attention, but they're also not counting on the public to know the difference. Like, she didn't know. She's getting ready to write a check, and she's like, how do I know? She didn't even realize it. Her mother said, is that a real stamp? I mean, how do you know that? And then she thought, well, I don't know. Let me call a notary and find out. So she just happened to grab me. And so I was able to help her. So anyways, this stuff is just an example of how prevalent this kind of stuff is. And we can't avoid it when they use our stuff and we didn't even know about it. But we can certainly do a great job when we're in the middle of it and not be unwittingly helping this to happen by paying attention. I'm going to give you one last example. I saw an unrecorded deed and the recorded deed. Same property, same APM number, same escrow number, same signer. But there was a little detail that I noticed at the bottom where it says who it was granted to. And in the unrecorded deed, it was granted to one person. And in the recorded deed, it was a completely different investment company. Now that's the notarization. Again, I'm looking at somebody else's. Notarization looks identical, same day, same signer. Everything else looks the same, except who it went to was different by the time it got recorded. Now, that notary wasn't me. That notary couldn't do anything about that, right? Because that's after the fact. We're not keeping the document. But there are 3 examples that I went through this morning. My God, this stuff is happening. So we want to be careful. And how can we be careful? Ask good questions. Know what to look for. When you hear somebody say the document's not your business, I disagree. I think the document is my business because I'm looking for completeness, I'm looking for instructions, and I'm looking for anything that looks like it could be fraudulent. I don't know exactly what that is yet. I got to look. But you can see these are things to look for. All right. So now that I've said my piece and took up 15 minutes, and thank you guys for raising your hands. Carol, let's start with you.
Well, I kind of along those same lines. And it has to do more with when do we as a notary have the ability to say, no, we're not going to notarize something, because I've read a couple of different things, and I was potentially going to be a witness for someone who's looking into, there's a POA that needs to be signed, but it was determined, and I said, yes, I can be a witness, but it was determined that as they were investigating this, the notary was investigating that it's potential that the person might not be competent because of the questions that they asked.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the circumstances where, because sometimes you can get folks then when you're, the person who's trying to get you to work with the signer in this particular case was like a brother-in-law. And so he's accepted the fact they're doing a competency hearing Thursday, and then we'll find out whether or not the person's actually competent, because the notary called the social worker. The social worker said, we don't want him signing any legal documents right now. And so when can you, something that I read, and maybe this was very early on, was when you're it's almost, how do you get out? How do you say, I'm just not comfortable with this? And I'm just not, in what situations can we feel comfortable and that we would be supported? And in that case, I would let's assume that this guy still won and said, I'm not accepting that. And you're there. In this case, we're not there yet, but let's say we were there and we got to the nursing facility and they said, look, you can't, social worker says no. Do you just document all that and say, I'm not going to notarize it, and just put it, do you log it still in your log? I have some confusion around the yes, no, can't say it, that kind of a thing. And what circumstances can I know that I can feel comfortable with, that I can walk away?
All right, Carol, I think, first of all,
it's a lot. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's all about the same thing, which is when I'm dealing with a compromised signer, for whatever that
compromised signer for whatever reason.
Compromised signer.
Or I'm uncomfortable because I don't like the document, just like what you went through.
I'm not going to use the word uncomfortable because I'm not comfortable with that. What I am comfortable with is identifying what the concern is. Saying I'm not comfortable, no. I don't think anybody's going to say that's a good idea, but to actually stipulate what it is, I'm not comfortable because they can't follow my instructions. because they appear to be confused, because they're telling me they're not willing, because, right, I asked these set of questions and they weren't able to answer them. And I have a set of 4, many of you know that, that I use over and over again. So if I was ever asked in court, well, how did you decide, they're competent? I don't decide they're competent. What I decide is, are they alert and aware enough at the moment I'm with them to do
Okay.
that? So I keep those questions handy when I'm doing that appointment. Same thing with if the impairment is due to other reasons. But let's just say the environment, if I've got a social worker telling me they're not able to sign legal documents and they put the kibosh, they can do that. A
Okay.
social worker, a doctor, a nurse, they can say they cannot sign legal documents, and I would be logging it. That's another concern with the journal. I would be logging, who said that? When did this happen? Where was I? What room was he in? What was his name? Did I directly? Now, I had that happen where I had a nurse say, no, he's only oriented ×1, which means he can tell you his name, nothing beyond that. I said, okay,
Gotcha.
but I went in to meet the signer because I needed to verify for myself that, yeah, I can tell this is not a good situation. And so what it turned out to be in this, but one case, it's always been, I was in agreement with the social worker, but in this one case, I wasn't. And the reason is that he didn't speak English. So he didn't understand her other than he could say his name, right? But he spoke Spanish. That was what his language was. I speak Spanish. Once I started asking the questions in his language, I didn't have any problem. So then I went ahead with the notarization. I told the nurse, hey, did you know he speaks Spanish, no English? She goes, oh, no, I didn't know that. Okay, so there was a problem, right? So I
Okay.
can't just say, okay, and then leave. I do need to investigate it myself. And that way I can, put, yes, social worker said no, person is not oriented. So that if you do get called into court, you are asked, you can say, hey, I saw the same thing. Wasn't able to answer my questions, wasn't able to follow directions, didn't want to sign the document, whatever it is. If you're in a place that doesn't have a social worker, like you're at their home, the home of somebody, of course, there is adult protective services, but they're not just hanging around waiting for you to notarize the document. You're going to have to make a decision. You're the only one in that chair. And you're going to have to decide, do you see something in the document that would cause you to think there's a problem here? Now it's not just, okay, they seem to be alert and aware enough to know they're signing their name. That's when I start saying, okay, so this document's a power of attorney. And who did you want to be making decisions for you? Because this says they're going to start making them today. I see it's marked immediate. So was there somebody that you trust that's going to be doing that for you? And then they can tell me, oh, yes. Oh, well, who is that person? I want to get a little more information and I'm going to be documented. Okay, they said this is the person. And then I'm going to look in the document. Is that who was named? And so it's okay for them. And of course, I go further if I suspect they don't know as much as they need to know about the document. It's okay for them to write your checks. I just look at the powers lists. It's okay to sell your property. It's okay to do this, that. Those are the kinds of things when you sign this. Is that what you want? Yes. Okay, I feel pretty confident that person, and I'm going to document it. All right. So sometimes I don't have help. It's just me. So be prepared. What do you do when that happens? Have a set of questions, the same, and use the same ones. I use ones that, did they know who they are? My name. Do they know where they are? I'm at home, I'm at the hospital, I'm at here, I'm at there, wherever it is. Do they know who they are in relation to the other person in the room? And do they know what they got, what they have? Yeah, I have a property. Yes, they could sell it, right? Those are the one, and where I got those was a combination of elder law. I took an elder law class, and the other one was the nurses when they asked about orientation. What are the documents about? That's the last one. If 4 times 4.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's my recommendation is I wouldn't say I'm not comfortable. I'd be really specific. Here's my issue. They're confused, they can't answer, they don't want to sign, you're not the person named in the document that they said they would want. They don't understand what the documents are, they didn't realize something, or they can't follow my directions, you know, whatever it is. Or I see something in the document that doesn't seem right. Well, they're not going to make decisions for me until I can't do it for myself. And I see it's marked immediate. That's not what they're telling me. So I do look at their document. And what I'm looking for is to try to protect the signer. That's what I'm looking for. And the
Okay.
more experienced you are, the longer you've been doing it, the more you look for these kinds of things, it will jump out at you. I promise. It just takes some time, but have the questions ready to go anytime you think you're going to be in that situation. If you're in a place where there is resources like doctors, nurses, social workers, utilize them. So that way it's more than you.
Have you ever had a situation where you're a notary and but you're the witness in this case and you don't agree with the notary to move forward?
No, I've not been the
Okay.
witness for another notary. I've had
Okay.
witnesses that I brought in for me, and it's my
Okay.
job, you know, as the notary.
I was just
sure, that's
curious.
all good, but no, I have not.
Okay.
But I would say this, if I was, I'd stop the notarization and say, could I talk to you just, can I borrow you
Yeah,
for a moment?
that's
notary?
what I was
Can
gonna
we
ask.
step outside just for a minute? I need to ask you a question. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with doing that.
okay. Okay.
I just
Thank
want to
you.
get away from that nebulous, well, I'm not comfortable. Because sometimes
Yeah.
people make life choices that you're not comfortable with, and that's not your problem or your issue or your business. And did you know that it's not against the law to make stupid decisions? It's not against the law for us to do stupid things in life. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with us. We just do stupid things. And it's not my job to prevent them from doing stupid things. It's my job to make sure they weren't compromised so they didn't realize they were doing something stupid. Make sense? Okay, thank you very much. I hope that helped everybody else. Thanks, Jen, for finding those questions and putting them out there. For everybody else, that was helpful because if you're doing hospital work, skilled nursing work, elderly work, or you're dealing with any kind of compromised signer, whether that's alcohol, prescription drugs, recreational drugs, this comes into play. And nobody can really be in your chair but you. And if you have to make that decision, and I've said, I don't have alertness and awareness here. Can't follow my instructions, appears too confused. This is either not a good day. Maybe I can come back another time if this is just because they took medication and I'm here too soon. But I have turned down. I probably, when I'm in those situations, a good 10, 15% of the time, I have to say no, either completely or come back later. I'm not afraid to do that. Even if it means that I pulled it, so I didn't charge them for the travel. If it's a real obvious thing, like why would you even call a notary? They're in a coma. I had somebody call me and they were in a coma. They didn't tell me that. Oh, we're going to help them sign. No, we're not doing that. And you need to pay me for my travel. You know, it's different when it's like a close call and you're having to make that decision. Then I make a business decision. Okay, Larry.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's kind of quiet, but I hear you. Is your
Okay.
volume low?
It might be.
Now I hear you.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to speak up and sort of support the new certification, the cannabis certification. I did it. Yes, I saw your notice in Facebook, Laura, and I went ahead and got certified right away, and it went really well, really easily. I got some blowback from arguers on Facebook, and one of the questions they kept asking was, why did you get certified for that? What is the point? And I just want to say, to me, the point of certification is to assure the people who are going to hire you that you have some competence, that you have, there's some point in in hiring you as opposed to Joe down the street. And for yourself, to tell yourself that, you know, I took these lessons, I learned this, I solidified this philosophy myself. So it's sort of like assurances both ways. And the other thing I wanted to speak to mention was to like back to the Graceland situation about people being able to sort of fake notary credentials. I'm sure you probably don't remember this, Laura, but a while ago I was on a search for an electronic copy of my seal because I wanted a round one, and NNA kept sending me a rectangular one because I have a round seal, and
Right.
I want to stick with that. And one of the searches I did through Google took me to Etsy. And I actually met some guy on Etsy who was doing electronic seals. He was like specializing in that. And it was like $4 or $5. It wasn't a big deal. So I
Yeah.
paid him right away and waited to hear from him. Never heard back from him until a month later. Then he came back and he said, "Oh, I've been on vacation. Sorry about that. Here's some information. Then I'll make your seal." And he came up with all of these really like besides my commission
Right.
information about my commission. He wanted personal information like my address, my phone number. And I'm like, why do you need that?
Right.
And all of that. And but the one thing that he didn't ask for that I know you need in California at least is a manufacturer's authorization
That's
from the
right.
Secretary of State. And he didn't ask for that. He asked for everything but that. So I jumped him about that, and we got into a big fight back and forth. So he got me blocked on Etsy, and then he left Etsy.
Oh my gosh.
So I am positive he was up to some kind of scam that something
I'm
bad was
sure he
happening.
was. Yeah,
So there's just all
absolutely.
kinds of ways that people are faking like notary credentials
Yeah, they
too.
do. He was doing something shady for sure. And
Yeah.
for everybody in California, you cannot produce a notary stamp unless you are approved and you have proof of that authorization called a certificate of authorization to manufacture. And if you don't have that, you're breaking the law and there is punishment for that. So absolutely, I'm sure he got caught doing something there. All right, thanks for sharing that. And before I go to Shelley, I just want to say the cannabis friendly notary course is just another point of differentiation for the notary. It's also something to talk about if you're talking to professionals, like they have accountants, they have, bookkeepers, they have attorneys, the documents like partnerships and formations and permit use of buildings. These are all the kinds of documents that they need like any other business owner. And of course, if you're like, hey, I think this is, and if you're in a state where it's legal, and that's what we say, you have to be in a state where it's legal, but it's like 40 some states are legal. Then here's another way for you to identify potential clients, and you don't even have to worry about, well, who's using it? Don't worry about them. Having that emblem kind of lets them know, hey, I'll notarize for you. I don't have any judgment-free zone. I'm an unbiased public official. But where it really can help you is there are lots of professionals you might not be thinking of that might be handling their customers who are in that industry. And by letting them know that you are cannabis friendly, that you don't have any issues with this, that they might choose you to take care of those clients when they need these documents notarized. So that's what that whole thing is about, to just educate everybody about what the industry is, what the supply chain is, and how it's changed. And now, of course, it's being rescheduled from a class 1 to a class 3, which is a big deal in that industry. So if you don't want to get certified or deal with somebody's documents that happens to be related to cannabis, don't have to. It's perfectly fine. For those of us who are looking outside the box and trying to expand our window of opportunity with clients, that's who it's for. So thanks, Larry, for speaking up about that. Shelley, hi.
Hello, guys. Hello. So sorry. I
Hi.
can't be on camera. I
That's
apologize.
okay. I'll take it.
Yay. So I just had a question, and I don't think that it's possible to do, but I figured you would know. I had a document notarized. But I want to know if you know of a way that I can verify that that is the notary's official signature. So,
Okay.
and kind
So
does
are
it,
you talking about you personally?
yeah.
Okay.
So I sold a property,
Right.
and the title company. I mean, I would like to. I'm going to approach the owner of the title company, because never asked for my ID, never asked for
Mhm.
anything. Just did it super quick, which, that happens. But when I looked at when it was a warranty deed, and
Uh-huh.
when I looked at it, there's no letters in her signature. It's simply like an oversized V is the notary's signature. And I was like, I mean, I've already duplicated it. So I'm trying to figure out if that's like her official signature before I take it to him and say, this is how easily this can be,
Okay.
fraudulent.
Yeah.
Does that
All
make
right.
sense?
It does.
So-
And so there's two things I'll share with you. One is the notary signature is what it is. It could be a daisy for all we care. They have the right to make their official signature any part of their name or initials or symbol or whatever it is. Just as any signer signing any loan document has the right to sign their name, how they sign it. Now, how do I know that that image that represents their name is what's officially on file, that's their official signature? You can go to the county recorder's office or the Secretary of State because they got it on file. And it can be
Oh,
checked.
okay. Okay. I wasn't sure. I didn't know if you could do, I mean, I know you could do that with FSDs, but I was like, I don't want to send it out of the country. I just want to know. That makes sense.
So county recorder, if it's a deed, before they record, they should be looking at the notary signature that's on file to match up to the signature line that's on. And that's how sometimes they won't recognize your signature because you changed it. Your name is still the same as it's printed, but you changed what your signature looks like. It should be about 80% of what they have on file. If it's variations more than that, there's a good chance they're going to reject it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. All right. And if anybody is having any issues with the cannabis friendly certification itself, please write to orders@notarycoach.com. Let them know what the issue is so they can take care of it for you. Sometimes there's technical glitches with how the certificates are put together, but I can't address those here. You need to go to orders@notarycoach.com. Okay. Thank you, Shelley. Did you have another question? Your hand's still up, or are you good?
Oh, nope, I'm still good.
You're good.
Or I'm
Okay.
good. Sorry.
Jason, good to see you.
Hey, Laura. Easy question. I know the National Notary Association produces handbooks such as the ID handbook, the international handbook for
Right.
international IDs and stuff. Do we have, or is there in existence, anything that shows what each state requires for a notary stamp? The reason why I'm inquiring is because with me here in Virginia, we're allowed to get two different types of seals. We can get the standard round embosser, or we can get the self-inking. With the self-inking, I can opt to have the state seal put on my stamp. I don't have to have it. I can opt not to have the state seal. Is there a book in existence, or who would we suggest that to maybe have a book created for such things?
So there isn't one, first of all, because every state gets to make up their own rules. They're all different, how many you can have, what shape they can be, whether they have to have ink or not. That's all state specific. There is a book actually, but it's not in print anymore, called the what is that green book? I still have it. Do I have it sitting out where I can see it? Is this it? No, that's a gray book. In any case, it's only electronically accessible, and I think it's only accessible to members who can access the resource books that they produce, that members can access. And I want to say it's the U.S. National Notary Association U.S. guideline, something like that. And it only has 1 or 2 pages per state. And it gives the highlights of, they can have one stamp, it can be round, it can be this or that. But you'd have to look at every single state to see what the requirements are. And so it's a very limited publication. They used to sell it. It's huge. I have one, probably the last year that they published it in print. They don't publish it in print, and it's a book that they use for the hotline. When somebody says, hey, can I have 2 stamps? Hey, can my stamp be this? Then they go look and they
Mhm.
say, here's what your state law says. Yeah, so that's it. There isn't one that you can purchase anywhere online that I'm aware of, or hard copy.
Thank you.
So Alicia, you got your hand up? I don't see you anymore. There you are.
Oh, yes, I do. Trying to print something, you know how they go flying.
I know that.
I got a text a minute ago, and the guy says, I need 4 real estate documents notarized. Now, you know, and I know it's a loan closing. How do you overcome it's a loan closing, this isn't a simple notarization? How do you get it around to that?
I'm not quite sure I understand what your question is. So Alicia, would you rephrase it?
Okay, so the guy texted me and says, I'm in the 32277 area. Okay, great. And what's the notarization? And he said, I can't, I see, please text me. I need 4 notary stamps and some mortgage docs, please. Are you able to do that today? Yes. And tells me where they are. I said, I can
Right.
after 5. But how do you negotiate this? Because
From a quote perspective, is that what you're wanting?
yeah, like,
Yeah.
how do you
Okay.
upsell yourself?
So based on what you told me here, because that could be loan modification. That number tends to be loan modifications in my experience, which isn't like a full loan signing, right? So that would be my travel fee plus that. So based on what you described in this job, my quote would be X for notarization and X for travel. Now you get there and it's a full-blown loan signing and they want you to walk them through everything. Now, right at the beginning, and so I always check documents right at the beginning to see if it's what they told me. This isn't what you described, so my fee is going to be a little more for me to go ahead and orchestrate all of it. So that's what it is. It's based on what you told me, and then I confirm when I get there. And if it's different, I say, here's my revised quote. You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Holly. Can you unmute?
Yeah, she said, oh, there she-
Finally. Oh my,
Okay.
okay, I just have to close out of this. So, happy day for me. I'm having my soft launch today. I don't have
Yay.
any clients, but it's a milestone. But I've been doing a lot of mock notarizations, and so I have just a couple quick scenario bonehead type questions.
Uh-huh.
One is I had the neighbors over yesterday. The wife is from Colombia, so she
Okay.
brought a passport. And so I opened it up to scan, and basically her passport has her maiden name, but the faux document has her married name. So, and no other ID. So what would you do in a scenario like that?
Okay. So first I'd say, do you have any other IDs? You're saying she doesn't. And if she doesn't have any IDs in this particular name, then I would say, do you have friends or family to be
Okay.
credible witnesses
Okay.
that can say they knew you as this person with this name, and they
Okay.
now know you as the same person with the new name?
Okay.
You could
So
also add support with a marriage certificate, but here's the problem. I cannot rely on a marriage certificate as ID.
right.
That's extra support, but it ain't going to do it for me. I
Okay.
really need either ID that has a picture of her face on it, that has the other name, or I've got to have credible witnesses.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you for clarifying that. And then secondly, it's these details which wake me up in the middle of the night. So what if signers have signed their certificate, which a jurat would be used for? What if they pre-signed? What's the next step?
Oh, if they pre-signed their document, just let them know you'll want to have them sign it again, because in this certificate, it requires you to watch.
Right. So they just sign where they sign beneath.
Above, below, to the side,
Okay.
just somewhere right around there.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm still searching for your fee schedule, Laura, and how you set that. I know I've been told in the past, look for where's the money or something to that effect. So I'll reach out to Trisha and see if she can't forward that to me.
A fee schedule where?
Just what you're charging for your travel fees.
You can find that on my website if you're looking for mine personally.
Okay.
And that is At Your Service Mobile Notary. That is a different website. That's my doing business,
Okay.
notary business, not Coach Me Laura.
Perfect. That will be a great help for me and very pertinent information today. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Okay, thank
welcome.
you.
You are welcome. Celicia, did you put back up your hand? No. Okay, then Nancy, you have a hand up.
Thank you so much. I want to ask a question about the pop-up apostille events. So I got an email from Matt over the weekend. What's the significance of that? Is it that that's the time when I would try to drum up an apostille because they're right here locally? Or can you just shed some light on what the significance might be?
It's just to let you know that if you're, handling an apostille, you might want to try this pop-up, which is closer to you.
I see.
The pop-ups
That's what
are
I thought.
also ways for them to test interest in that location
Right.
versus making somebody go to the LA or
Right.
Sacramento location.
Right. Right. And I also had sort of a tail on the end of Celicia's loan signing request. I got a similar thing via email. It's a construction loan.
Mhm.
And I gave her a travel fee,
Yeah.
and she's like right next to me practically,
Yeah.
but $40 travel fee and $15 per signature. Sometimes that $15 per signature when there's two people can amount to quite a
Yeah.
bit more than any signing agency is willing to give you. So it can work out to be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Those loan mods that are in duplicate. So it's 2 signers. So that's $30
Right.
times 2 documents. So now that's $60
That's
plus
right.
my travel fee. I'm over $100.
Exactly.
And I didn't print it.
And
It just showed up.
exactly. And I made it clear, you are going to have the documents with you. I'm not printing anything. I'm just showing up to do the notarizations. She says, yes. And I believe it's she and her husband. So,
There you go.
who knows how many documents or how many notarizations are in that package. So
Exactly. Well, there you go. Good
keep
work.
the faith, Celicia. Charge, charge, charge.
George. Yeah, it's good. I don't know how many of you, can you do let's see, can you drop a 1 in the chat if you worked yesterday on Memorial Day? Because I did. And I made some fantastic money because everybody else was closed. I did apostille work. Oh yeah, it was good. Okay, well, I got a handful of you. Yay for you. You made money. Okay, Patty.
Hi, I have a question for California.
Mhm.
On my notary certificate, not certificate, the commission. This time it came without the golden seal. And I put it up, but then I kept my old one because it looks like just photocopy of just anything. I called and asked them, can I pay you extra to get it? Because it doesn't look like it's real. It's not in color. It doesn't have that seal. It looks very cheesy. And
And what
people
did they
question it.
say?
No.
No, of course they said no. It was a money cost saving thing. It was very expensive to do the gold. They're not doing it anymore. Mine looks the same way. You just have that
It
black
is
seal.
horrible.
It is what it is. And you know what?
I'll be right with you.
It's not like you're giving it to anybody.
No, I put it up, but then I kept my other one next to it because so people
That's
don't
fine.
question it.
But yeah, they're in California, no more gold seal on there. It's just black.
Okay.
It is how it is. What it
Thank
is.
you.
You're welcome.
Sad news.
Yeah. Jeanette. Jeanette, are you available?
Hi. Hi, yeah, I'm here. Hi. Hi. I did take the cannabis friendly course, and I did pass with 100. I was surprised for someone that's never partaked, but I did get 100. So thank you for that. And I had, what sparked my attention at the end of that course, Bill had a bonus thing about fingerprinting.
Fingerprinting.
Yeah, now here in Michigan, I'm just in general just asking, because fingerprinting is so widespread now, even like with your phones, you think, will it ever come to a point where you don't have to be in all the regulations that comes with it? Because I don't understand, with the technology, I don't see why it can't be mobile.
No. Well, they are mobile. First of all, they are mobile, but they have to have a special platform, computer. It's all tied and regulated by the DOJ, and there is no, you can just do it on your phone. You can't even do it on your own laptop. You have to have this one they tell you have to have. And I don't see any changes going on there.
So you're saying that, you can buy a mobile one, because I saw, the different ones, they were like $600-700, I guess, some of them. And it just has to be, you have to go according to what your state law says as far as the
You have to
setup.
go according to the DOJ because they're federal background checks. It's not your state.
Oh, okay. Okay. But it can be mobile if
Oh yeah, I have people here in California that they take their equipment, they got mobile size equipment and they go. Jeff Clark,
Okay.
he's mobile. Yeah. And that's how
Is
they do
there a-
groups.
Is there a standard fee for that, or that it all depends on your state?
Well,
Or
you
that
gotta
doesn't-
pay whatever the DOJ or FBI charges, and then you get what's called a rolling fee. And then you could have a travel fee if you're mobile.
Oh, okay. Thank
So
you.
there's two possible fees there. And just, to highlight, there are over 425,000 people employed in some part of the cannabis supply chain. And every one of them has to have a background check, at least once, some annually. So look at how much work that is. Okay,
And
Teresa.
it's very expensive to be a live scan signer as
Yeah,
well.
it is.
Very expensive.
So have a plan before you go buy that stuff, because not only do you pay for that, there's a monthly fee that you pay as well. Okay, Teresa.
All right, I've got a question for you. I've been doing this for 3 years. I should have the answer, but Virginia notaries don't talk to each other. So I'm going to ask you. All right, whenever you charge the fee for your notarization, in Virginia, it's $5. Is it for signature or for stamp? Because this is the wording. May not charge more than $5 per notarial act performed. So is that per signature or per stamp? Because signing
Okay,
signature.
so here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you two things. I'm going to tell
Okay.
you what my opinion is, because what I'm doing is I'm giving you an opinion based on how I interpreted that sentence, but I'm not
Right.
an attorney. So you might want to check with the NNA hotline, who might have a slightly different one. My interpretation is if you've got two people named in that certificate, then you performed a notarial act for each one of them. And
Okay.
it should be $5 for each person that was included for each acknowledgement or jurat or oath. That's what I believe it is meant. However, there is a state, just looking, Kimberly Senate, are you in Arizona? No, are you California?
California.
Shoot, is your partner in Arizona?
We do have an advisor in Arizona.
So, I think Arizona, there's a state, I want to say it's Arizona, I could be wrong, that it's no matter how many names are in the certificate, it's per stamp.
Arizona is per stamp.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
Good. All right. So Arizona says it's per stamp. So if you had 5 signatures, I get $75 because I can do for every single person. But in Arizona, if it's only 1 stamp, then they just get their fee. I think Arizona might be $10. They get their fee and that for the 1 stamp, and that's it. The only way they could get it per person is if they had 5 separate certificates and they stamped each one. So that's why I'm hedging a little bit, since I know Arizona is a little different and it's worded similarly. So that's why I think you should check with the hotline to verify. But since it says per notarial act, not per notary signature,
Right.
then each person I performed an act for, I'm entitled to a fee.
Okay, which is my inclination to do it that way, but I will check with the NNA and get some clarification on
Yeah, I
that.
think Arizona, it says per signature and they mean notary signature. So there's one notary signature to the stamp, to the.
Yeah, see, that's the other
Yeah.
side too. Whose signature is it? So
Right, but yours doesn't say signature, yours says per act.
right.
To me, that's the difference.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
cool. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thanks for asking, Yvette. Thanks for waiting. Because we only got a minute, so we got to run so we can catch these last two
Okay.
people.
Okay, thank you for taking my question. I never know how much to charge. I'm first of all, I'm in New Jersey. I never know how much to charge for whatever service I'm providing with my notary stamp. I had a friend who needed just a one-page document stamped. Her mother passed and she just needed this document notarized. I don't know, in New Jersey, I think it's $2.50 for a notary. And I'm confused. I really don't know how much I can charge.
Yeah.
What type of situation. I know the loan signing documents. I've heard you can charge like
So Yvette,
or
Yvette,
and
you
I'm
are
also
cutting out.
I'm
Yvette,
cutting out.
You're cutting out. And I
Yes.
get your question. So let me answer it because we're going to run out of time.
Okay. All
First
right.
of all, I want to tell you that I could go really in depth in that question. I don't have time now, but if you would come to Laura's Inner Circle on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m.,
Yes.
just
will.
go to Coach Me Laura, sign up for it. It's free. And I could go more in depth, but just to answer straightforward, when you're presented with a document, you can charge your notary fee, the maximum allowed per law in your state. If your state, New Jersey, allows travel fee, you set that up so that it accomplishes you charging a total fee that allows you to cover the cost of you performing the service and a profit margin. So when you have a small, yours is 350, mine's 15. I don't have to have as high a travel fee to make my money because I make it $15 a pop, whereas you only got 350. So if you only have 350, you're going to have a bigger travel fee to help make the overall fee support the value for you to do the work. So that's how individual documents work. Loan signings, trust assignments are different because we take on multi roles. We might be the printer of the documents. We're not just traveling, but we're orchestrating, walking them through every single one, collecting signatures on documents that aren't notarized. We might be scanning documents. We're going to be dropping them off to a courier place so they can get back to wherever they've got to go. In that case, what we tend to do is do a flat rate that includes my travel. And so that's where you hear somebody saying, well, it's going to cost you $200. All right. Well, because they're counting what they're estimating their time is involved in doing all of that. All right. And that's very different than when I just have a document presented to me. All I have to work with is the notary fee and a travel fee where you're allowed. If you want to know more, go to my Laura's Coach Me Laura's Laura Inner Circle. Okay.
And Kimberly from Notary Academy posted something in the chat that would also help from New Jersey.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly, for putting that in there.
Yeah, that's directly from the Secretary of State for New Jersey for their notary handbook.
There you go. Fabulous. I love all the support by myself. Last person, Ariana, and then we're going to go. If you have to leave before, thank you for being here. Go ahead, Ariana.
Ayana.
Ayana,
Hey, Laura,
thank you.
that's okay, Laura. I guess I think I'll just link up with you Saturday because I had a few questions and I don't want to hold up every time.
Okay. So just a reminder for everybody, every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, it's Laura's Inner Circle. Very similar format to this call, but since it's a smaller group, I can take more time and really dig into the questions and look at it from all angles. So if you want to do something like that, join me. To get to Laura's Inner Circle, go to Coach Me Laura. scroll down, put your email in, you'll get an email that says, yes, I opt in, I want to be a part of this, and then it'll send you that. So that's all I can handle for today, because you're welcome. I am out of time, but thank you all for joining us today. Gosh, there were a lot of great questions. I'm so glad you brought them to the table today, because then we all get a chance to learn. And next Tuesday will be TNT, and Jen will be back. If you're an NBB member, remember we do have an accountability call from 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific time today, and Bill and I will be on that call. So I hope if you're NBB, I see you there. All right, guys, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.